Thank you so much. We're sticking with the Cavs here. LeBron James is in playoff mode. 32 points, 13 boards, 7 assists in the Game 4 win over the Indiana Pacers. But last night, a little more help from his friends that he's had of late as the role players finally stepped up. This series is now 2-2. Nick, how should the Cavs feel after evening up the series with their win last night?
Well, they have to feel very relieved that they got the win. Had they lost that game, and it was, they were trailing with a few minutes remaining. Had they lost that game, then this season would officially be on the brink of utter disaster. And even the biggest Cavs skeptic a week ago was not saying they could lose in the first round. You qualified as a Cavs skeptic if you just said they won't make the NBA Finals. Nobody was thinking about them losing prior to the NBA Finals. So they averted disaster, so they should be relieved. But they should still be very concerned that in the 2 games they've won in this series, it took a 46-point LeBron James performance, and then last night it took a 32, 14, 9, whatever he had ended up with last night, that LeBron has had to be A+ for them to be competitive in close games. And Kevin Love is playing his worst playoff series as a Cav. They don't yet have a set rotation. Their offense, which had been the one consistent piece they've had over these 4 years, is all of a sudden a league average or worse offense. Their three-point shooting has abandoned them, particularly on open threes, which is maybe the most jarring. And when we're talking about a role player stepped up, because, Kyle Korver made 4 shots in the second half, because, Jordan Clarkson made 5 shots in the second half, gives you an idea of what our threshold for what it counts as stepping up for the non-LeBron players on this team are.
They should be very concerned, Jenna. If you look at LeBron, outside of LeBron is 32 a game. The shooting percentage, Kevin Love, 36%. JR, 38%. Kyle Korver, he got a little bit hot yesterday. 34%. Hood, 47%. So there's nothing that the Cavs have done that would make me think, this is a team that can go to the finals. Like, no. The defense has been a little bit better, but the problems outweigh the few positive things that we've seen. And George Hill. George Hill is born and raised in Indianapolis. Played his high school ball at Broad Ripple High School, right there in Indianapolis. Went to IUPUI, played with the Pacers. If you can't play going back to your hometown, how bad do you think his back was? So I'm concerned about their point guard going forward. He's one of their best defensive players, and he's only, since he came over in the trade, he's only played at a level that we're used to seeing just a few games. So there's a number of concerns that I have going forward, and them getting this series tied up 2-2 doesn't alleviate, it didn't help me.
Why are we so surprised that the role players haven't contributed more? They haven't contributed more since the All-Star break. Maybe Kevin Love we're a little surprised by, and maybe the fact that there's no legitimate third option. But the fact that these guys are putting in, or shooting what they're presented, it's no different than what it was.
Well, it is different in this regard. This team was one of the best teams in the league, top 3 in the league at hitting open threes all year long. That's one of the benefits of having LeBron on your team. So he's going to generate more open threes for his teammates than any player in the league. And they went from 3rd best in the league in the regular season on hitting open threes to 3rd worst in these NBA playoffs on hitting open threes. And the other thing is, you kind of added the but aside from Kevin Love. But that aside from Kevin Love is huge.
Yeah.
Even if he's not the traditional number 2 option, he's the only other even close to all-star caliber player they have. And he's shooting, Cece, you said, was it 36%?
Yep.
36%. And by the way, that's with shooting 40% on threes. So on twos, he's shooting less than 33%. Like, that can't happen. So the other role players wouldn't look as bad if Kevin Love was giving you 20 and 10. And the feeling was Kevin Love, who prior to Isaiah Thomas getting into the lineup around Christmas, was playing his best basketball as a Cav. If he could channel that, that would at the very least be enough to present major problems for the Pacers, especially because the Pacers are trying to defend him with a traditional 5 in Miles Turner.
Yeah, and also when you're trying to start Kyle Korver. At this point in Kyle's career, I think Kyle's 37. Like, him playing that many minutes defensively, it's going to be a liability. Now, the Pacers haven't taken advantage of that, but the other teams that they were able to move on, that they would. The Cavs got huge problems, and they're not out of the woods as far as being out of this series. I wouldn't be shocked if if the Pacers won Game 5 in Cleveland and closed them out in Game 6 in Indianapolis. That is on the board for the Cavs.
What we know for Cleveland for the entirety of the year is that if LeBron is just good, a B-level LeBron game, they're an average or a below-average team. This year, when he doesn't score 30 points, they're a 500 basketball team. When he scores 30 or more, they're 25-9. If LeBron is a game where he doesn't score 30 points and he doesn't get to 10 assists, they're 6-13. Like that, and so they need him against anybody to be extraordinary. And against the Pacers, they need him evidently to play the entire second half, to be great throughout, and in order to squeak out wins. There are 2 wins in this game series. It's not like they've been comfortable.
No, they could have lost both of those.
So that's what I was going to ask you about. How can he sustain this level if he's going to be playing the entire second half moving forward when we saw how tired and fatigued he was just, in the last game?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron can do it, but LeBron is not – we shouldn't even be talking about LeBron. You should be talking about everyone else but LeBron. We know what we're going to get from LeBron, and if these other guys continue to not show up, be inconsistent, and they can't sustain another ankle injury or anything. With George Hill being out right now, I mean, they have no type of depth. And you can tell that the continuity of who's going to come in, who's going to be 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th off the bench and everything, they don't really have a rhyme or reason.
Going into the series, if you say through 4 games, LeBron's giving you 33, 12, and 8 a night on 54%, you say, well, the Cavs should be up 3 games to 1. And by the way, they should be up 3 games to 1 if they could close in the third quarter. They've had 16-point leads or greater in games 2, 3, and 4. Game 2, Victor Oladipo has a wide-open 3 to tie it after they blow their big lead. Game 3, they're up 17 at halftime, and they lose the game. They have a J.R. Smith half-quarter to win, but they blew that game. And then last night, they had a 16-point lead early in the midway through the second quarter yesterday, and then the Pacers have a lead. They're shooting a technical free throw to go up 3 points after Lance baits LeBron into a technical. Like, the Cavs have been awful in third quarters because that's when LeBron's been resting on the court to a degree, and the other guys haven't been able to step up. You said one thing, CC, that is the one silver lining for Cleveland, which is defensively, this is the best 4-game stretch they've had all year. This is the first time all year in 4 straight games they've held an opponent to 100 points or fewer, which is what makes this so shocking. If you told me it was 2 games to 2, I would think because the defense never flipped the switch. The defense has been better. The offense is what's gone cold for them.
Yeah, and for that, I don't know if that's their defense. I know they're paying a little more attention to detail. They are playing with energy. But is that the Pacers' offense, or is that just the pace of the playoff, because scoring is down in the playoffs compared to the regular season?
All right, Game 5 slated for Wednesday night. Moving on, so let's get you caught up on where we are with the Dez Bryant possibly going to the New York Giants situation. That answer is nowhere. The former wide receiver was cut by the Cowboys a week and a half ago. Dez may have floated the idea of going to the Giants when he posted a video of himself working out with Odell. But it was reported yesterday in one of those reports that you love, CC, that the Giants are, in fact, not interested.
The one with no name on it. I love those.
Services, and so it goes, Dez Bryant. CC, what does it say that the Giants are not interested in him?
I'm not surprised at all. Last week we were reporting Dez he might have been interested in the Giants. This is the thing. The Giants have a lot of intel on Dez Bryant. When you play against a team 8 years, twice a year, you either want that player or there is no in-between, or you don't want that player part of your organization. Janoris Jenkins had some interesting comments after the 2016, after playing against Dallas, giving the scouting report on Dez Bryant. It is, he can't go deep. He's not as athletic as he was when he was younger. He runs basically 2 routes. That's the quick slant and the dig, the deep end. And besides that, not too effective as a wide receiver.
Now, he makes a great burrito, so we're really good on that.
Now, that's the scouting report that someone in the organization gave the team the week before the game. Right, yeah. And the player is basically repeating what they said about Dez. So that's what they think about Dez, the front office. So I'm not shocked that the Giants wouldn't be have the interest that other people had claimed maybe last week. And also, can they handle those 2 personalities? I believe that was probably the biggest question, and I don't believe that they wanted that. They're having a hard enough time with Odell, making sure that he's under control. And with this contract ongoing, that's not going to go away anytime soon, the Giants made the best decision as far as how they're going to move forward.
It's an important point you make about Janoris Jenkins, that's not his scouting report.
No.
Because Janoris Jenkins, he had just signed with the Giants. It's not like he had played Dez Bryant 14 times in his career. He was one of their major free agent acquisitions. So when he has that scouting report, the fact that that is the team intel on Dez speaks volumes. And the fact that if we were to just do almost a blind, like, check the boxes, do the Giants have a need at the position Dez plays? Well, yes, they cut Brandon Marshall. Does the player, Dez Bryant, have an interest in playing for them? Well, yes.
Wait a second. Before, let's get back to Brandon Marshall. Just because they cut Brandon Marshall does not mean they need another receiver. I mean, because they have a high draft pick in Sterling Shepard. They also have a tight end that's a move tight end. He's not a block tight end. From Mississippi, he had a tremendous year last year.
Evan Ingram.
He's going to be a star in this league. So just because they cut Brandon Marshall does not mean they need another wide receiver.
That's totally fair. My point is, we look at Philly never, when Dez said I want to play in the NFC East, Philly never even came up because they have a surplus of wide receivers to a degree. We wouldn't say the Giants have a surplus of wide receivers. So maybe you wouldn't give that a full check, but it wouldn't exit off from the list. Does the player want to play for that team?
Yes.
Well, we know that. That's why you put that Instagram video out. He said he wants to stay in the division. Does the player have familiarity with the teams who will be playing up against in the division? Yes. All those reasons you would say, oh, this is a perfect fit. And that the team is saying, not interested, that's a cold dose of reality for Dez. We saw Dez in that NFL Network interview the day he got cut, talking about how it was Garrett's guys, talking about how it was essentially a conspiracy against him.
Yeah, well, you also had the report, too, in that same interview saying, oh, there's 4 teams I just got off the phone. Oh, they can't wait for Dez to get cut. They really, where are they at now? In that same report.
And so that's the thing for Dez. Like, unless you think Garrett's guys have infiltrated teams across the league,
Dez.
Right? Then he's got to say, what is it about me that a team doesn't want me? What is it about me that where I want to go, I can't even get an interview, so to speak?
Is there a chance he doesn't end up with a team this year?
No, he'll be with the team. No, absolutely. No, he'll be with the team.
It just might not be the team he wants, like a team of his choosing. The team, right? I mean, I think that
Dez Bryant will be playing in the NFL. He's a starting wide receiver. Like, let's not go too far as that. He will be gainfully employed. But the Giants are teams like that. You have to worry about, how do I slow down development of guys I have, Sterling Shepard, and also Odell Beckham. Maybe they play him at the boundary receiver as a big physical guy.
All right, guys. Great show today.
Absolutely. Fun weekend playoff basketball.
More basketball late tonight.
You learned a lot today.
I what?
You learned a lot today.
I learned a lot about just the moisturizing.
Black don't crack.
It's not.
I'm sure they know about that. They know about that in L.A.
Okay. You guys have